I welcome you players to the battlefield on Press Start to Draw. Today, we're going to be going back in time in the ages of World War I to draw an infamous French specialist known as the Trench Raider. This is a specialist coming into the new French They Shall Not Pass DLC in Battlefield 1. Let's get into the materials. Today's materials is a pencil, mechanical irregular, an eraser, and optional colored pencils. Stage 1, the sketch. Let's get started. First, you want to sketch his legs. Now, don't take too much time on this. This is going to be a rough sketch after all. He's going to be in a very slanted stance. He's going to be battle ready with his mace. I'm going to go ahead and make the belt right there, and then make the chest piece. This chest piece is going to serve as his armor slash kind of flak jacket for this character. We're going to go ahead, jut out from there, and make his arms. They're going to be both down his side. The left arm is going to be holding a trench mace. Pretty simple, just a handle, make a line right there, and then make a corn dog type of shape for the sketch of the trench mace. Now for the hands, what I did was make a big square for the palm, and then make little tiny squares for the fingers. Now going to the head, we're going to go ahead and shape it out with a nice scruffy looking bandana, make 2 medium-sized circles for his goggles, and then finish off his head by rounding off the top. And right there is going to be our sketch for our Trench Raider. Transitioning on, this is going to be the detailing. Still part of the rough sketch, so you can be kind of, unneat, if you will. That's why we have an eraser for such mistakes if we run into them. I'm getting into the fine details, which are going to be his utility vest. Now, in the game's description for this character, he has a interesting arsenal of grenades, so we're going to capture that kind of, jack of all trades, utility vest. He has a lot of pouches here and there. Looks like he's holding a lot of gear. So make some nice simple pouches. Not really hard to make pouches. It's kind of a leather feel we have for them. So let's go ahead and add in some wrinkling details right there for that leather effect. Making his grenade that's just holstered to his side right there. Making some more pouches. Now from what the image gave me, there was a lot of shading, so I couldn't really make out if there was any grenades holstered to his utility vest. So I kind of had and just left them out. Finishing off his belt, right there. Fine-tuning some details. And this is kind of part of the sketch where you want to erase any intercepting lines that you had previously. Fine-tuning his chest piece right there, making it a little bit more scruffy. And of course with clothing, this is going to be a realistic drawing, so you're going to want to add in some wrinkles. They're going to be scrunched up together, so make sure you get that down. Pretty easy to make wrinkles. This is kind of scruffy wave-like shapes. Going down to his arm, adding a lot of scrunched up detail towards the bottom of his sleeves right there. Now this is the part where I'm fine-tuning his hand. There is a part of skin that is exposed right there. You can see his arm. It's kind of bandages are wrapped around his arm. Kind of gives a little Mad Max type of a post-apocalyptic feel. This is where I'm going to go ahead and shape in his fingers, add in some detail, make him look flash-like. No longer will we have those tiny little squares. Now we have a nice human-looking hand. Now this guy's going to be looking like he's kind of having a little bit of arthritis, or maybe he's just nervous for what's to come. Adding some love with some detail on the left arm right there. Now I use a little technique to add in some good detailing into the clothing, which is a simple grid type of shape. So for the arms, every type of clothing except for his utility vest, his bandages, and his chest piece make a grid type shape. It kind of adds a little bit of stitching detailing into the clothing. adding in some more wrinkles here and there, and that's where you see that stitching detail that I was talking about previously. It's optional, you don't have to do it, but I think it adds a lot of depth into the clothing and makes it a little bit more realistic. Adding in some scruff marks for the body piece. Now, the detailing for his chest piece actually consists of just shading, so make sure you add in those shading scuff marks here and there. Now, this outfit is not really accurate to World War I. There's a lot of inaccuracies in Battlefield 1. It's actually flooded with them, but it is a video game. I guess you can't really go hyper-realistic. It really isn't like meant to be a hyper-realistic military shooter anyways. So, you just gonna have to take what you're given there. I'm going down there, adding that grid technique like I said before. Now once we shade, you're going to go ahead and have to fine-tune those lines back again. Adding some more detail into his left arm. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the line engravings on the actual handle of the mace. Fine-tune that line right there, which will be the shaft, and just adding spikes to the corn dog shape we made earlier. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to go ahead, what I did for the clothing, I will also treat with the bandana, add in some wrinkles, some folds. Make it look very rustic and scruffy. This guy is in World War I after all, so you can't really be neat with this guy. You want to evoke, emotion and story. Like this guy has been through a lot and he's willing to fight for his nation, which would be, of course, France. That's the big focal point of this DLC for Battlefield 1. Darken in his goggles right there. Stage 2, shading. Alright guys, now we're going to go ahead and add in some nice shading detail for our Trench Raider to give that nice depth of feel, to make it look like he's really popping at you on the paper. Now, you could have noticed that I am using a different pencil than usual. I'm not using mechanical pencil, I'm actually using a gold Faber-Castell pencil. These Faber-Castell pencils are very good. I recommend them to any inspiring artists or any artists in general to use them, or at least just try them out for once. They're relatively cheap. They're kind of like, they're around, I think, maybe $8 or $10 compared to a lot of other art pencil sets that you see. They're fairly cheap. I think they're at a good, fair price, and they're really useful. They evoke a lot of nice, deep shadings, and you kind of just choose, which type of pencil you want. They do come in different types of coating here and there, which they explain on the packaging. For your lighter shades, you want to go with like the 2 H's and the H type of range, and for the darker shades, you want to go for the the B2, B4. They're all labeled on the bag. They give you different types of shading charts, and it's a pretty useful set. And this is what I'm using for the different types of shadings, which consist of grays, blacks, and light grays. So very useful. But use whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't necessarily have to use this particular pencil set. I do recommend for you to try it out sometime, but you don't have to beg your mother or your parents, or have to cough up a bunch of money and see if it works for you, because you might not be comfortable with this pencil, with this particular pencil set. Use whatever's comfortable with you, whether it's being like a number 2 pencil or just a simple mechanical pencil. I like mechanical pencils. I kind of highly recommend them. They were always useful for me for those quick, nice, swift detailing and sketches. But for much more kind of fine-tuning and kind of rustic type of shading, you want to go with these little Faber-Castells. But do not limit your genius, and don't let me restrict you to what creative freedoms you want to do for your drawing when it comes to actually using what type of utensil you want to use when actually making the drawing. So just kind of go freely with this. And also in the drawing, go freely with the detailing. You don't really have to necessarily copy down everything I'm doing. I want you to be free with this. This is your creativity, and this is, after all, you're a genius. So add in some, bullet marks here and there on his chest. Maybe add some blood here and there. I'm going for a more stylistic choice. I'm not really coloring him in his respective colors. I'm just kind of leaving him black and gray. I'm going with a more stylistic choice to where I'm only going to add in a certain amount of color on a certain objective point on the drawing, which would be the flag, in this case, the French flag, which is a big focal point in the DLC. This is a DLC about the French army, so we're going to be using red and blue for the French flag. That's what the colors consist of. It's pretty simple to make flags. So just add in some simple shading here and there. His hands are kind of darkened a little bit. He's not really African American. He's just kind of white or tannish, if you will. You can make him black if you want to. It's really up to you. Adding some more wrinkles here and there. Some more fine-tuned shading when it comes to his clothing. Make sure you emphasize a lot of shading detailing on the wrinkles on the clothing. I'm coloring in the mace right there. The weapon is pretty simple. It's a unique type of weapon, but when you get down to it, it's the most simplistic part about this drawing. Now we're getting into the background detailing, or the background drawing. This is going to be Stage 3, background detailing. So go ahead and take a ruler, make a straight line going up, and at the top, go ahead and make a little spear shape right there. This is, of course, going to be the pole for our flag. Go ahead and make the actual flag. It's going to be waving in the air to the left, majestically representing the brave French nation in World War I. Make 3 stripes right there. This is where we're going to add our colors, adding in some indication lines for folds, and I'm going to go ahead and take my red color. That's going to be our first color. I'm going to make the little tip red, and then I'm going to go ahead and, of course, leave the middle white, and take my blue and finish off the flag. I'm going to go ahead and add in more fine-tuned wrinkling detailing with a black pencil, adding a little bit of shading here and there. I'm going to go ahead and color the actual rope with brown colored pencil, and then the pole itself with a gray colored pencil. Kind of leaving a little bit of shine on the top of the spear, so don't forget about that. Just make it look like kind of a, just a really nice, kind of dirty looking flag. It's not really dirty, it just kind of, just flowing in the air. Make sure you're adding a lot of depth and shading into that. That pretty much wraps up the flag right there. And once you did that, guys, congratulations. Drawing complete, you have successfully drew the Trench Raider from Battlefield 1 They Shall Not Pass French Army DLC for Battlefield 1. I hope you guys enjoy this drawing tutorial. I hope it helped you out. And Press Start to Draw is signing off.